Welcome inside a crossover Thursday on Thursday Night Football, an NFC North showdown. Locked on Packers, Locked on Lions. I'm Peter Bukowski, host of Locked on Packers, with my pal Matt Dery from Locked on Lions. And today's episode, our crossover Thursday extravaganza, brought to you by our friends at PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use the code, all lowercase, Locked on NFL for that first deposit match up to $100. Matt, my friend, cannot wait to get to this with you. We got the Lions coming in as slight favorites, according to our friends at FanDuel. As we head into this game, a couple common opponents in the Packers and Lions rear view, the Atlanta Falcons. So what is it you have your eye on coming in this week for the Detroit Lions in terms of big stories?
Pete, it just seems like you and I were talking, it seems like a few weeks ago that the Lions and Packers were wrapping up the season last year. But, really the storyline for the Lions is just getting healthy. If they can get David Montgomery and Taylor Decker back for this game on Thursday night, that's just a big, big boost to the team that, quite honestly, against the Falcons, the offense was okay and did its part, scoring 20 points, but it wasn't the Ben Johnson, look at us, putting up points, being creative offense. The team has taken a step back without Decker at left tackle. Penei Sewell's moved over to that left side. They've had a cavalcade of people on the right side, from Matt Nelson, Dan Skipper, Colby Sorsdale. But they need Decker back in the left.
You made at least one of those names up.
What's that?
You made at least one of those names up.
No, those are real.
I don't believe you.
Dan Skipper, he's been on the team like 50 times. I thought I really was messing up here, but quite honestly, they need Sewell on the right, Decker on the left, and Montgomery running the ball between the tackles. I would not want to see, and I think he's going to play, but I would not want to see a Rashawn Gary Sorsdale matchup. I think that would be a massive advantage for Green Bay. So storyline is just getting healthy, and also certainly a battle for first place. And I think the Lions feel like they're the better team. Now it's a matter of beating the Packers fourth time in a row. That would not be easy. Not at all. What's going on up at Lambeau, you think?
Yeah, the last time that had to have happened, like, you might have been at WAER the last time that happened, 4 in a row.
There you go.
The and it is really interesting because the evolution of this offense is very much reliant on Christian Watson and Aaron Jones getting healthy. We saw what they were able to do against New Orleans, 18 points in the fourth quarter. But for them to be able to sustain this right now, it's baling wire and sheet metal. It is duct tape and Elmer's glue trying to just ham and egg this all together, because they don't have their wide receiver one. They don't have David Bakhtiari. They don't have Aaron Jones. And so injuries, same sort of situation with Detroit. Get these guys healthy. Now, the early word is Aaron Jones, Christian Watson, they're going to play. David Bakhtiari, Jair Alexander, very much in question. Elton Jenkins, almost certainly not going to be ready to go. He's got an MCL injury that's going to keep him out a couple weeks. Probably after the bye would be the soonest you would see him for the Packers. So how much does that change their offense? That's the big thing. Like, is that the key to them being able to sustain offense? Is it the difference between, say, a 31-point performance in week 1 and then, struggling to get to 18 points a week ago against a very similar style of defense? Aaron Glenn coming from that Dennis Allen tree. So that is the thing for me. How does the appearance of Christian Watson in particular change what this offense can do? And then you mentioned it, Matt, like this week 18, that felt like a moment. And I think you and I both felt it in real time. Like, that was not supposed to happen. The script was not supposed to go that way. Aaron Rodgers was supposed to have his ride off into the sunset against the team that he has beaten, since time immemorial, especially in those crucial games late in the season. We talked about it on our crossover that week, all the times that they've played and the Packers have won those matchups when they've meant something like that. So is that real? How much of that is real? Does it carry over to Jordan Love? And this, that is just not football wise, but narratively, that's fascinating to me.
It's funny. I watch Rodgers on the McAfee show every week. I'm hoping to hear the name Peter Bukowski just one time. I think that would be fantastic.
Out of Aaron Rodgers' mouth?
Yes.
I'd be nervous to hear what he said about me.
That's what I'm saying. It would be pure entertainment. I was watching your show the other day, but you said something on your show. You said Green Bay's second in DVOA, and I know you're a big stat guy.
Yeah.
So what's that go? So that's all with Aaron Jones not being 100%, Bakhtiari, and that whole controversy, and Watson hasn't played yet. So what's happening there?
Well, so you mentioned DVOA. So offensively, the Packers are 9th in total DVOA. So for those of you unfamiliar with DVOA, defense adjusted value over average. So basically, how efficient are you relative to the opponents that you've played? Now, right now, there is no opponent adjustment, or very little. And so it's really just how good have you been? So DVOA early in the season means less than it does later in the season. But the Packers offensively second through the air in offense. They're 27th running the ball. This is another part of this that's weird, Matt. And we're going to get into the matchups here. I think the Lions defense has a decided advantage on the ground right now. And that is not something that I expected to say. That has not been something that we've been able to say about the Lions.
No.
I mean, when was the last time? Was Ndamukong Suh in the building? Was Nick Fairley in the building the last time?
Yeah,
that was something.
2014. There you go.
Yeah. So that is a weird thing. This Packers offense, like I said, has been reliant on the passing game with Jordan Love, which is not what we thought was going to be the situation here. But yes, number 2 in pass game DVOA, and only to the Miami Dolphins, who are number 1. So pretty good. 27th though, running the ball, and that's why Aaron Jones back is such a big deal here. How have they put this defense together? How have they changed the way that they have been able to stop the run? Aside from, I noticed this one little thing, and we're going to have plenty of time to talk about the matchups. I saw Aiden Hutchinson line up as a 3-tech, as an interior defensive lineman, more than I have ever seen just against Atlanta. Is that a new thing this year? Is that something that you think they're going to try and do?
He did it last year, but because the interior of the D line, nobody recorded any stats against Seattle. I think Aaron Glenn said, screw this. Those guys are going to get less snaps. Other than Lee McNeil, most of those interior guys, Isaiah Buggs, Onwuzurike, some others, didn't play all that much. They got some snaps, and they actually played well when they were out there. Same with Benito Jones. But yeah, Hutchinson on some passing downs especially was kind of lined up inside, even on some second downs. And he did just fine. I mean, he's been good. I think the biggest thing is their linebacking core, the Lions, is the best it's been in years. I mean, probably going back to Levy and Tulloch. When Jack Campbell is the number 18 overall pick and he can't get on the field much because Derek Barnes is playing so well and Anzalone's everywhere. I mean, Anzalone was a one-man wrecking crew against you guys last year in week 18. So those guys are playing well, and they're doing better against the tight ends. I know Disley had a big game 2 weeks ago, but this past week, Pitts was fine. There was one ball Ritter missed, which we're gonna be saying a lot of this year. Yeah, although he didn't in the fourth quarter against you guys, but
that could have been a touchdown, that Kyle Pitts play.
Right, but I think the Lions defense is just there's more depth there. I mean, look, you lose Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and Kirby Joseph last week, and Melifanu comes in and plays well. Tracy Walker's a former starter that now is playing again and has to start again. There's some depth there. That's just a credit to the front office. They've done a good job.
Who is going to be the starting secondary on Thursday night? Like, can you just like, I'm trying to look at the depth chart. I'm like, okay, trying to figure out, okay, who's playing, who's healthy? Like, who's it going to be?
So you'll have Sutton, you'll have Jacobs. I don't think Mosley will be ready yet. Brian Branch is just big. That dude's big time.
Incredible last week.
Yeah, I don't know what I know you make trades and you don't know, like the Packers went, sure, we'll give you 45. And I'm telling you, they may rue the day that they helped the Lions. And maybe, look, he may have been there at 48 anyway, but the Lions had to move up to get this kid, and he's been phenomenal. So, yeah, I would say, I don't know about Kirby Joseph yet. It's either going to be him or Melifanu and then Tracy Walker. So, Will Harris is there if they need him. They've got some depth there, but eventually they're going to get Emmanuel Mosley back, and that will help. And you can move Jacobs to more of a co-starring role.
Maybe it doesn't matter because Aaron Rodgers is the guy that Kirby Joseph really just like owned last year. Yeah. But that seems like that would be a big to have him, especially given the way the Packers want to attack down the field. We're going to dive into all the fun matchups, all the good stuff of this week 4 primetime battle coming up in a second.
Hi, folks. Matt and Pete here to tell you about our friends at Harry's Razors. Listen, when you get that starter set from Harry's, you got to try it out because it really, really is good. No matter why you shave, Harry's has you covered for the best shave of your life at a price that you'll love. You get better quality and a better price than other razors when you get Harry's delivered right to your door. And that's what we want now. We want stuff delivered to our door. We don't want to go out and have to spend a lot of money on blades at a store. Not at all. All right. Packaging's cool. The razors look good. And the starter set's a $13 value that you can get for just $3 at harrys.com/NFL. Includes a 5-blade German engineered razor, weighted handle, foaming shave gel, and a travel cover. All right. Scheduled delivery for refills as low as $2, half what you pay for other blades. Creams, washes, lotions, they've got those as well that will keep your skin healthy and hydrated. Harry's has the highest customer satisfaction in the shaving industry. So give them a shot. Get your best shave ever this summer with Harry's razors and skincare products. Get a $13 starter set for just $3 at harrys.com/NFL. That's harrys.com/NFL for a $3 starter set.
So I mentioned the defense and the improvement that they made here, Matt. Locked On Packers, Locked On Lions coming back here. And Brian Branch, it just seems like he has coalesced this group in a way, because it is allowed everyone to just fit into roles. They don't have that true yet superstar, because Brian Branch, man, if he keeps playing the way he did against Atlanta, will be a superstar here very quick. And Hutchinson also not, he's not in that tier with Watts and Garrett's and all those guys. But how has to at least your eyes this defense changed? Because I look at it and it seems like they're just so much more adaptable to what they need to be. Play different against the Chiefs than you do against the Falcons because you need to. What are you seeing from this defense?
Well, I think you just said it, Pete. I don't need to really add any more, but let's be honest. Aaron Glenn, everybody said, oh, the scheme and all this, and Aaron Glenn in his third year, and he got a lot of heat at the start of last season. People wanted him fired. Heck, after the Seattle loss this year, they're like, Aaron Glenn's not the guy. The bottom line is, 2 weeks in a training camp, there were some people, Dave Burkett of the Free Press and others, writing, could Brian Branch be the best player on the defense right now? And it's like, wait a minute. He's a rookie second-round pick. Hutchinson's on this defense. C.J. Gardner-Johnson's on this defense. Anzalone and some others. Romeo Okwara is making big money as sort of a defensive end and a rotational edge guy, like best player on the defense already. And then you watch him in week 1 with a pick 6. You watch him against Atlanta. He was everywhere. And it's like, where the hell, how did he last till 45? He's that
and it's
good.
Not like he went to our Sisters of Perpetual Sorrow. This is an Alabama guy. Like he wasn't a secret.
Amazing. And so he's just around the ball, whether it's against the run, against the pass. And I think that's the thing. It's like for years you go, why can't the Lions have a honey badger type?
Yeah.
Tyrann Mathieu. And that's him. He's just everywhere. Nickel corner, safety, little quick pop pass out to the outside. And he's the first guy there every time. And he's coming from across the field or even from a Mike linebacker spot on the field. So he's just been really good, man. And they got to keep him healthy because 32 and in white on Thursday night will be a problem for the Packers.
Yeah, I think the other side of this would be, right, you look at what happened in Seattle and what the Seahawks were able to do. Geno Smith, 32 of 41 for 328, 2 touchdowns. And to me, when I was watching that game, I was like, the speed of this Seahawks offense was giving the Lions defense problems. And that is how this Packers offense has changed, Matt. Like that was the point of this offseason. Allen Lazard, Lions killer Allen Lazard, by the way, out the door. He's playing in Floral Park, New Jersey. Randall Cobb, along with him, Big Bob Tunyon, Mercedes Lewis. These were veteran guys Aaron Rodgers loved. But let's be honest, they were not winning any track meets with anyone. And I keep going back to what I saw at week 18. The only guy who was getting open against the Detroit defense was Christian Watson.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, going to be different this time around. Romeo Doubs was not healthy in that game. By the way, Rashawn Gary, not healthy. Torn ACL, did not play in that game. Jaden Reed, they bring in. He's a low 4.4s, high 4.3s guy. Dontavian Wicks has made some plays down the field. I think this is such a cool moment, Matt, because both of these teams are trying to establish themselves with these new identities. And in a lot of ways, they're identities that are meant to counteract one another. You bring in this chess piece like Brian Branch. Well, the Packers, that's what they got Luke Musgrave for, to try and attack teams that have specialty defenders, Oh, you're going to split Bijan Robinson out. You're going to split Kyle Pitts out. We've got this guy. Come meet my friend Brian, and he will follow you around all day. From the moment you get out of the bus, he's going to be in your shirt. So there is this cat and mouse game that I think is a really fun part of this game. And it's also the defense cat and mouse. I've talked about this a lot this week. This is just so bizarre. Week 2, the Packers play the Falcons. Ryan Nielsen, defensive coordinator. He was the defensive line coach in New Orleans under Dennis Allen. Week 3, they play Dennis Allen. And week 4, they play Aaron Glenn, who not only played for Dennis Allen, but coached under Dennis Allen. And their structure is very similar to the way that you see Dennis Allen and the Saints wanting to play. My question, I think, for you right now is the same as I had last year, and it's the same as I would have had coming into the season, even with all of the additions that they made, is are these corners, even with Brian Branch, who they had playing like straight out, like weak side up, like linebacker last week against the Falcons.
Yeah, he's everywhere.
Can they hold up against the speed of this Packers offense now that it's speedy? The cornerback room is still going to be where I go, this is where I think Green Bay can attack.
Well, I'll say this. Sutton is really good. And that was their big signing before they got CJ Gardner-Johnson, but Cam
plays
Sutton,
with attitude, which I love.
Yeah. You never hear his name on the broadcast because he's covering his guy and he runs back to the huddle. I mean, there's not a lot of action on his side. The guy that's being picked on a lot is Jerry Jacobs. Like I said, they signed Emmanuel Mosley to a 1-year deal from San Francisco for a reason. Now he's slow to get back from the ACL last year. And like I said, I don't think he'll be ready yet on Thursday night, but Jacobs is a guy that they're going to pick on. They'll pick on him again. That's why if Branch can come over and help, if Tracy Walker can come over and help, but again, if the pass rush is there, like it was Sunday against Atlanta with the 7 sacks, it'll force Love to have to make some decisions and do some things differently. I love the fact that this is, like you said, a little mano-a-mano, and the Packers have this speed because, like you said, in week 18, that offense looked really, really slow. And the Lions offense was the one moving. Question back to you is, I just love the play action pass that the Packers have incorporated here with Love. He's selling it well. And you guys seem like you have like 4 tight ends on the field at all times, right?
Yeah. They're mixing personnel in really interesting ways. I think the difference because I can just hear Lions fans pushing back right now on you. Hey, we just played the play action team. This is the Atlanta Falcons. All they did was play action.
Well,
here's the problem. If you can't do anything in the straight drop game, the play action game is less effective. I don't know what the numbers say about that. I know the numbers say you don't have to have a good run game to get good play action game, but I watched the Falcons and they, to me, seem like a tensile test for this idea. Desmond Ridder could not do anything in the drop back game. No. And so if you don't respect the drop back game, it just changes the way teams can defend you. And it's a little bit similar, honestly, Matt, to the Lions, because Jared Goff in the drop back game last week, not very good. No, but
not one of his better games.
No. In the under center play action game, he's ripping these over routes, the beautiful corner post to Sam Laporta where he just gets wide ass open. The Packers scored on that concept last year to Big Bob Tunyon against the Bears, and then got scored on against George Kittle 3 years ago. I think 3 years ago. It is a staple Matt LaFleur concept. I'm telling you, the Packers are going to score with Luke Musgrave on that concept at some point this season. But the way that they can call this offense with Jordan Love is just different than with Aaron Rodgers. They can go to that under center play action game. They can call zone read on the 2-yard line, which, by the way, Jared Goff scored on last week, which I just thought was incredible.
But his Ford Field leap was not good.
It wasn't the best. It wasn't the best. But even then I'm like, he made fun of it after the fact. And I'm just like, this is the thing that's annoying about Jared Goff over the last couple of years is I'm just like, I hear him talk and I see him play. And the slander that he endured for a couple years, from me included. And I'm just sort of like, damn, do I like Jared Goff now?
I know.
Because it is that kind of thing. But to your question, the Lions defense should be relatively prepared for this because they see it every day. Ben Johnson is a play action king. And the way that they use, I mean, I was taking my notes and I can just read you like word for word what the note is. It's just like, you have to be able to communicate the pass offs and the crossers, because they are going to create leverage pre-snap. They're going to condense their splits, or they're going to go to bunch looks. And the Packers do the same thing. So it's like, okay, you see this every day in practice, both sides. Who can defend it better? And that's going to be the interesting question here. You mentioned DVOA, Matt, the fifth ranked run defense the Lions have in DVOA. But I think Packer fans might be surprised to know that in total defensive DVOA, the Packers actually have a better current mark than the Lions. Packers are 10th in DVOA. The Lions are 12th.
Well, the
Patriots
Lions are 5th.
right there in the middle.
Some of that too, we can thank Arthur Smith. I have no idea why last week Bijan had 10 carries and that was it. I mean, even Jahmyr Gibbs had 17. Like, Bijan Robinson is a stud. The guy carries a ball for 8 yards and then he's on the sidelines for Algier for 3 series. Like, what? That made no sense to me. I thought the Lions did a much better coaching job this past Sunday than Atlanta, because to me, Bijan's your horse and he spends half the game on the sidelines. It made no sense to me.
I didn't understand that either. I think Arthur Smith is a little hamstrung by his quarterback, and that causes him to make some weird decisions. I said this watching the tape yesterday, like losing to that Falcons team, given the way that offense for 3 quarters against the Packers did nothing. And for 4 quarters, they did nothing against Detroit. They are that team. They're not the team we saw in the 4th quarter in week 2. And the Packers letting them do that and winning a game because of that, it's just a biff. It's just a bad biff. Speaking of the things that can win or lose the game, you and I are going to decide what will decide this game in just a second here. Locked on Packers, Locked on Lions, a crossover Thursday.
And of course, crossover Thursday brought to you by our friends at PrizePicks. Oh my God, it's you against the numbers. This is so much fun. If you haven't played this football season yet, you need to be doing that. You need to be doing that Thursday night when Lions and Packers go at it. You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 players with their stat projections, and you watch the winnings roll in. It's simple. PrizePicks is the most fun I've had, winning up to 25 times my money this football season. You should select 2 or more players, like I said. Pick more or less in those projected stats and watch the money roll in. Seriously, it's like you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. You look at any of the projections that are out there. A guy like Justin Jefferson, you honestly think he's going to have less than 100 yards this week? Maybe he will. Put some money down on that. What about Odell and the combo with Lamar Jackson in Baltimore? All those things are in play at PrizePicks. Go to their website, prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL, and use the code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, prizepicks.com. Go there now, /LockedOnNFL. Use the code LockedOnNFL for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
All right, finishing up here. Locked on Packers, Locked on Lions, Matt Dery, Peter Bukowski. Thursday night football. First place in the NFC North, Matt, on the line. Absolutely cannot
You and
wait.
I called this. We called this with the other guys during the preview shows when they were Brett. Remember? Come on, our boy. Let's get on our boy Luke Braun's case, Mr. Vikings. I still think we can be at the top. Come on, you know it's you and me, Pete. Come on now.
Listen. Luke also was trying to say that they were not frauds last year. And let's be honest, they were frauds last year. And you know who agrees with me? Their front office, because they've been tearing this down for the last, year and a half. So the 2 best teams in the NFC North, unquestionably, take the field on Thursday night. What's up, Luke? And Lauren, God, poor Lauren Cox, our guy.
Oh my God. He's such a nice guy.
And just going through it. In this case, you hate to see it, but for Bears fans, well, I think this is going to be one of those games where both teams at the end go, we should have won that game. It's going to be a nip and tuck, back and forth kind of game. What do you think ultimately will be the reason that one of these teams wins or loses?
On the Lions side, they've got to clean some things up on the penalty front. They have been really, really lucky to be 1-1 in their last 2 games, despite all the penalties. First game in Kansas City, everybody was watching. They weren't penalized in the first half. Taylor, the right tackle for the Chiefs, should have been penalized like every play, but that's neither here nor there. Finally has been, but the Seattle game, sloppy, dumb penalties. 10 penalties, including 5, I believe, on the offensive line this past week in the win over the Falcons. You cannot do that at Lambeau. We know the history with some phantom flags with Lions under the lights in Green Bay years ago, right? for roughing the passer and stuff, but the Lions have got to just be a little bit cleaner with how they're playing right now. I don't think they're going to go into Lambeau and cheap shot or do anything dumb, but I'm just saying, if we're sitting here again talking about 3 or 4 holds, or right, they've got to be. So I think the Lions have got to be playing a cleaner football game. And again, sometimes it depends on the crew, but I think that's the first key for me with Detroit. What about for you in Green Bay?
Unfortunately, it's boring. I have the same answer, because the Packers in the first half could not get out of their own way. Absolutely could not get out of their own way. Dumb penalties. They couldn't get lined up, Matt. And like, that is the kind of thing that you can't have happen. Like, holding the Lions just couldn't block Atlanta. That was why they were getting called for these holding penalties, is because Bud Dupree and Grady Jarrett they were eating them up, and you're going against backup offensive linemen. So you sort of understand it. But when you're getting procedure penalties and you're making those kinds of mistakes, like, that's the rookie growing pains stuff that I think people expected coming into the season. I mean, you're a first-time quarterback under center, making his first start at Lambeau. This is his first primetime start at Lambeau Field. His first career start was, of course, a primetime game. And you're looking at a rookie wide receiver in the slot, a rookie tight end. Who knows what that offensive line is going to look like? And so they're in a similar situation. The defense, I think, is going to be fine from a penalty standpoint, but offensively, they got to get some of that stuff cleaned up. This is, and we talked about it last segment, the battle of the play action games. It's going to be, I think, one big play. One team is going to hit one more play action shot play, and I think that's going to be the difference. And just sort of relatedly, I think that will be because in the red zone, one of these teams is going to have a moment where they need to score in the low red zone, and they don't have the play. We saw it with Detroit. They have one holding call. They're in the like the 10-yard line. They have one holding call, and now they can't, on 1st and 20 or whatever it was, 1st and 18. They can't go to their play action game. They can't go to their screen game, their draw game. They try and go straight drop back, and they couldn't get in. And so to me, that is going to be the difference. That's why I think I have the Packers 27-24. I think the Packers can execute in the drop back game better than the Lions can. And that, to me, is the difference.
I'm actually going to take the Lions.
Let's go.
I think it's going to be around that same score.
Have you ever picked the Lions on my show? I don't know.
I don't think I ever have. I know I didn't last year because the fans let me have it, but I would say same type of thing, 27-24, 28-24 type of game. I think the Lions, like I said, I mean, they can play better than they have so far this year. I mean, even the Kansas City game, there were times where they could play better and they won. Seattle, they weren't great. Obviously the offense was, but I think you're going to see a Jahmyr Gibbs utilization finally from Ben Johnson the way they want him to. I don't know if they were holding out until this game to bust out a couple of maneuvers with him in motion, bubble screen, end around, something with Gibbs that he's been utilized the way that they wanted to use him from week 1, but they haven't. Last week, he had to be the bell cow with Montgomery out, and I think he's going to play. At least David will give it a shot. So that's where I'll go. And the one thing that concerns me, though, that Packers field goal defense is back. I saw what happened to that poor Saints rookie kicker the other day. So we have not had any issues with Riley Patterson so far this season, but I just have a weird vibe that I believe the Money Badger missed one last year at Lambeau. So I think if it's close and it's a 47-yarder, I'm hopeful, but I smell a miss at some point. Will it come back to bite the Lions? I'm going to say no this time, but keep an eye on that, Pete.
Fascinating. Anders Carlson, who was a disaster in camp and all throughout the spring and the summer, has been perfect so far this season. This is me knocking on wood for the Packers' sake. Just because you said that, now it's going to be Anders Carlson who does that at the game. I'm not gonna jinx anybody, but this has been so fun, Matt. I appreciate always getting to talk with you. This is going to be a great game. It's a bummer that this does not get to happen again for a while, but who knows? Next time we talk, could be big time stakes on the line, and the weather will be much cooler than it is right now. Let's have some fun, and we'll talk to everyone. I'll be live Thursday after the game. Are you going live?
I will be.
Then we will see you all live after the game on Thursday night.